And now I invite Kavya Srinivasan, the storyteller, theatre personality and playwright, to introduce Sonder to us in her own inimitable style.
Woo! Okay. So, can you all hear me fine without this?
Yes.
Yes. I find that I prefer to move my hands than be perfectly audible. My name is Kavya Srinivasan, and the story of the word Sonder is what I'd like to begin with. The year was about 2015, and I discovered something called the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. And we've all known this. We've known the feeling of wanting the name for a word. So we know the feeling, we've experienced it, but it doesn't have a name. And we think maybe it will never have a name. And to capture exactly this was put together the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. Sonder was the first entry that I saw on the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. And I sent it to Shania ma'am, my teacher then. And the idea for Sonder is very simple. Sonder, it's a noun, because it's a dictionary, we have to start with that. It is basically the idea that everybody around you has as complex and as rich a life as you do. Each with their own worries, their own cares, their own preoccupations, in whose life you are nothing more than a face in a lighted window, another passenger on the metro, just somebody passing by. And it's this feeling of simultaneous smallness and bigness, where we see somebody else and we say, oh, this person has a whole universe of their own, in which I am but one person giving a speech on one Friday afternoon, right? I want to host something for you, and for this I'd like to invite our team up. Can I have Vignesh, Vandana, Arjun, Shanimam, Santosh? Who am I missing? Sauvik. Where is Sauvik? Ah, right here. Okay, excellent. So we're going to do something for you, and it's called a story circle. In storytelling, in the storytelling universe, a story circle is basically where the inspiration for every story is drawn from the previous story. So while Shani ma'am is arranging us in the order she prefers, what this means is that each person will pick one element from the person who's standing next to them, who's telling the story before them, and will tell a new story, a different story. Just to tell you how rich and complex our internal stories are and what they look like when we're right here in front of you. Just for some background, this is completely unrehearsed.
It shows, I guess.
It shows. Everybody's like, oh! But I believe that everybody has stories, and they're right there at the tip of our fingers. So let's try this. Let's see what stories emerge. I would love to talk to you about the stories that emerge from you as the evening progresses. Vandana, yes.
Okay.
Do you want to start, Shanima?
Yeah.
A very
Sorry, I switched it off. Apologize.
Long press.
a very good evening to all of you. I know this didn't have like your typical welcome address where we are thanking everybody at the outset itself. The story that I want to say is a very simple story. She was a girl who had her eyes full of dreams. Her eyes couldn't recognize regular things like numbers and formulae and things that were logical. A girl who would sit in the last bench and look outside the window. One fine day, there was a disaster called the maths teacher that walks into the classroom. Now, the reason I call her a disaster is because when you're 14, I don't think you can differentiate between personality and actions. So because the maths teacher brought maths theorems with her into class, she is the disaster, not really maths. So that girl was busy looking outside the window. By now you have figured out the girl is me, so let me not use the third person anymore. Yeah. So this girl keeps looking out of the window, and there are theorems and mathematical formulae flying left, right, and center. And then came the time for her examinations. And her examinations went out really well. I mean, because she had social studies and English as her first two papers, and couldn't have been better. But then there was what the disaster lady brought with her into the class. There was math. Anyway, I wrote the exam, I came out. It was the month of February, and we had very little time for my class 10 exams to come through. And as I sat down writing my class 10 preparatory exams, I realized I was going to flunk mathematics, because I was busy looking outside the window and writing poetry. And here I was supposed to talk about pi r squared. I still don't know if I'm saying it right. I came out, the results came out in a couple of days, and voila, I got 28 out of 100. As the first ever time that I have failed in math. My maths teacher, for the very first time, called me to her cabin, and she said, all these years you didn't tell me, you pretended like you knew it all. You didn't come to me even once. Why? I said, Ma'am, I don't want to do maths. She said, see, you're in your class 10. If you want to do anything with your life, you have to get through your class 10 exams. And then she forced me to do maths. Every morning, assembly would start at 9:15, but ma'am would be waiting for me in the coaching class right from 8 a.m. I would reach there 8:10, 8:15, and she would say, you're late again, you're late again. I didn't want to be there, so I'm late. Get ahead. Anyways, I went there, 8 a.m. She would start her coaching, write things, draw things on the board. I was still seeing stars, but somehow there was something called as 10 years question papers that my husband was talking about to my nieces this morning. She made me go through all those problems. Day after day, untiringly, she would make me do math. And on the day of the exams, I went in really, really scared. And my math teacher, she made it a point. She was also in charge of the examinations, so she was in charge of who goes into which hall and who takes care of what. She ensured that not she, but my all-time favorite language teacher was made the invigilator of the class that day. All of a sudden, she didn't seem the disaster that I made her out to be. She seemed to be this God-sent person. I calmly wrote my maths exam. I still feel the jitters when I think about it because it was so scary. But I wrote the maths exam, I came out. She waited for me till everybody left, sat with me, worked out the question paper, and said, child, you will pass, I'm happy. I got 84 on that math paper. Wow. Didn't do too badly for myself. I till date remember my language teacher very much and call her my favorite teacher of all times. But I think in the scheme of things, the teacher that outed herself was that math teacher who I termed as a disaster. And that story I would carry with me forever, because I became a teacher myself, and then you get it back in full measure, right? There are people calling you a disaster out there, but I hope that I have made them proud. And this story somehow stayed with me, and I remembered that people out there have lives as vivid and as complex as my own selves. So.
Thank you so much. Can you have a round of applause for Vandana? Okay, so now the rules of the game are that...
Thank you so much.
Yeah. The rules of the game are that Vandana can take anything from that story that inspires her to tell a different story from her own life.
So I'm not going to give it away, I'm sure. We all talk a lot very evidently, so by the end of it, I'm sure you would understand what I'm talking about. So it was a regular day, very special for a lot of us because it was our first day in Christ Junior College. The year was 2008, I think it was sometime in June. And for the first time, there were 100 students in my class. And till 10th, I was in ICSE, 40, pampered, you are the world to us, your results are the world to us, and then you're put into a college where there are 100 students in a class. And it took us 2 years to figure out who are the 100 students. So I still remember I was in the canteen once and this guy walked up to me and said, oh, so do we have the homework today? Like, have you finished it? I said, I'm sorry, I'm in electronics. He said, I'm in your class. That is like Christ for you in a nutshell. So we were all there, first day, just making friends and really breaking the ice between us. and it was our English, subject. It was the English hour. And in school, English has been a really special subject for me because I've always been passionate. My mom has been passionate when she was growing up, and I really loved learning languages, and not Hindi because I still don't know why there has to be maybe kitab and whatever. So other than that, I mean, maybe because it's out of your practice, but I really enjoyed learning English, and I was really looking forward to who my English teacher is going to be. So she walks in, and the first exercise she does is she makes us all stand in a circle, and she says, what's your name? And that was the first exercise, because till then, surprisingly, none of the other teachers we had up till that hour really knew our names. They would address us by the roll numbers. I don't think it's changed very much. Guys, I'm sure it's still the same. They only bothered about handbooks and not really who you are. Are you a Christ student? So yeah, so that was the story. And then she makes us stand in a circle and says, okay, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? It was very informal. And at the end of it, for some reason, she just pointed out and said, like, she was giving us an example, and she said, yeah, like Vandana. And I don't remember the example, but I remember that moment where she pointed at me and she remembered my name out of the 100 other kids there and of all the other hours she's had for that day. So that person was Saranya.
Lovely, thank you. And now Sauvik will tell us a story inspired by this story.
So,
Yeah, I think we can.
Please.
yeah.
You want a little cushion? No, we do. Okay. Make it totally
Better lights as well.
I'm fine.
Sorry, whenever you're
So,
ready.
hi, I'm Sauvik. So, two of the stories were from school life and about teacher. So, I am one of those students who used to sit in the first bench but still used to be the mischievous one since all my childhood and in college also. And we have very strict librarian during that time. When we used to go to library, she used to make us put sedative in our lips, on our lips, so that we don't make sound. Still at the end of the class, still at the end of 40 minutes, I used to be the one who used to get like 2-3 sticks on my hand. Like, it's an everyday routine. We used to be scared of her. I was in class 8 in 2005 when I got detention, so I have to stay back for doing some work in library. And during that time, ma'am just after all the works are done, all the stock keeping of the books are done, she gave me saying that summer break is starting. You can choose any of the books you want from the novel section. Till that time, we are not allowed to take book from that section. And I started my journey with books and poetry from writing and falling in love with literature through that. And today she is someone whom I call my guardian, my best friend, to whom I can speak with everyone. So I don't know over the ages that student-teacher relationship has developed into an ageless friendship.
No, lovely. Thank you, Sauvik.
Okay, Arjun, let's hear your story inspired by Sauvik.
Okay, books was very bad at studies. Until 5th standard, I used to probably get ranks. I remember, I still can recall 3rd rank and my dad taking me out on a scooter and taking me out for a jolly ride, getting me things that I asked for. After 5th standard is when I saw a very contrast father of mine. I don't know, he some years down the line he used to tell that my Saturn went retrograde and I didn't know what that meant back then also. 6th standard, from 6th is when I got really off studies and I would be the most notorious guy in the class, do all sorts of nonsensical things, throw stones at teachers and
I didn't teach him at school, so
throw stones at teachers, always get into some always end up doing some mischief or the other. And over those years, of course, I was never into studies, and maths is one subject that literally maths is one subject that I really hate studying maths. And Christ school, we used to have this protocol where we used to get the answer sheets to our house. And I still remember my father would always want the maths paper on top. I would put it in the order of the subjects: English, Kannada, Hindi, maths, science and social. And maths is always the one that used to be under. And I did get out a few times by just telling, no, maths, he always used to ask me, have you passed in mathematics? Even though I had failed, I would tell I passed it off. But 2-3 times he did sign, and the 4th time the school authorities went berserk. They were like, the student is failing and the parents are still signing and they are not concerned. Why? What is something must be wrong. Then they give a ring to my dad and they ask, what's up with your son? He's not doing well at maths. Then he figured out that I started lying and all of that. But after that, I somehow again, like Saranya, I too somehow passed off mathematics by scoring just 48 in my board exams.
It's exactly the opposite of
Just 48, and I was very happy that that happened. And after that, my dad asked, do you want to really study math again? I was like, I'm not getting into that jazz again. So, two contrast persons, I've seen a friendlier dad and a villain dad. Again, after college, I just stuck to what I was supposed to do, study and then pass exams. My dad was then again cool, he was chill. From then on, I've seen a different dad. Today, I can go to him and tell, I just checked out a chick on that. She's really. She's
carried away with the story.
She's, a beautiful woman. I checked out. And oh, okay. What was she wearing? He'll ask those type of questions. So she's someone again who's almost pretty much been like my dad, a go-to person with whom I can tell anything and everything. So that is Saranya for me, equal to my dad. Though I call her Mother India, she's equal to my dad. And that is the story that I wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Arjun, for a lovely story. And I'm sure for everybody in the audience, and there must be like a million stories running in your head about maths teachers you hated and exams you failed and lied about. Yeah, so I'm gonna do a really short story about fathers and math. For the longest time in school, they thought my dad was a single parent because he would come to every parent-teachers meeting. And my mom, who was much more laid back about most things in my life, would be like, oh, I'm at work, I'm busy, I'm doing research. But my dad would come, and all the other moms would be like, oh, what a dad. I used to find it very odd when I was a child, and this would happen to me. As I grew up very, very much like Arjun's story, my dad was suddenly worried about my maths grades. And then he would sit and tutor me because my dad was a gold medalist in mathematics. And how his child could not enjoy this thing that he loved was beyond him. What do you mean you don't like maths? It's not an idea, right? And even though I was absolutely rubbish at math, my time with my dad, the evenings, he would come back home from work, he would have a cup of coffee, he would read the newspaper, and then he would say, Chalam, is it time to do math now? And I would be like, yes, because suddenly, here was Dad just sitting there and spending time with me. He would talk about math and he would try and explain it to me, and I would be like, yes, I understand. And then the next day, I would not have understood any of it. And I remember that now when I look back at math, I only look back at it fondly because it was my time with my father, to be near him and to just be around him. Thank you. That's my story. Okay, Vignesh, you have to bring something with math and fathers and teachers and happiness.
Please do.
Whatever you like.
Just all
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I never make you sit up.
I'm sitting down, sorry.
He was supposed to be on my panel, so he's like.
Okay, alright, so there was a lot of talk about math, a lot of talk about grades. I don't want to go into all of it, but okay, I'll just touch on it, just a tiny little bit. I wasn't particularly bad at math, but yeah, there's one time I failed.
All of
Just
this.
that one time. And the one time my mom had me grilled. Surprisingly, my dad was like, it happens. And then he's like, okay, you know, get away from the dining area, let's go out somewhere. And then he's like, is a girl bothering you? I'm like, yes, Dad. That's actually the reason. That's why I failed this time. So my dad was like, it's okay. Like Arjun pointed out about phases of Saturn and whatnot. He talked about one of those planets, I don't recall which one. And then he was like, that's a little retrograde maybe, you know, that's why you're doing this. You'll be fine. And then one fine day I just happened to look at events in Bangalore. And I go to this place called Urban Solace and also, and it's also. And then I am introduced to like a completely surprising bunch of poets I had never thought of getting introduced to. And I come back home and I tell Dad, today this happened. Like, can you imagine? And Saranya, she was the first person I met. And immediately when I saw her, I'm like, I know I have a sister, but I think you're the elder sister. So I immediately had that connection with her. And then Dad is like, you know, beta, I think the phase of that planet is good now. So you met them all. I'm like, okay, Dad. Okay, you know what? I don't care about the planets. I care about the people here. And thank you. Thank you for always encouraging me. And she has been a gem of a person encouraging me to write poems I never thought of. Like, thanks to you.
Vignesh's dad and mom, both of them write. So he comes from a lineage of writers. So.
Okay, Santosh, please save this circle by telling us you like math. That's all we need to say.
No, I abandoned math long time ago.
Sorry guys,
The only reason he took off
apologize.
medicine is because he didn't have to do that.
Exactly. So I went to a really nice school where we had the option of not doing math. So once we were past the 8th grade, once we were past the basic arithmetic so that you don't mess up your basic groceries, they said, you know what, it's okay, it's fine, you know, you can take something else. So I took the option of environmental science. So that was the most stress-free year I can tell you. I had all my friends dying with math, and I was like so calm, I was like, it's environmental science. Just talking about water and it's chill. So I don't want to talk about math because you guys have dwelled on it too much. Sauvik said sellotape, so something reminded me of sellotape. So back when I was in 3rd grade, 3rd standard, this Americanized version. So when I was in 3rd standard, I went to my Fatima's house, which is in Vellore. Angapona, my mom told me, the first thing she said, don't run behind the dogs. She has dogs, Fatima has dogs. I know you love dogs, don't run behind the dog. Okay, I said, okay, fine. I'm not going to run behind the dog. Then I saw a 3-legged dog, I don't know, some pound. So she said dogs, which is 4-legged. Okay, so this does not count. So this does not count. So happily I went trotting around it. Ended up falling, breaking my right hand, busted both my bones in my hand, and I come pound. I just like I put on a brave face and I come to my mom. Are you holding this? She just looked at me. She didn't. It was blank. She knows what's coming, so she's smiling. She did not offer inacha andamarilla. She gave me a tight slap on my face.
She told you not to go to the toilet.
I sat there in shock, but in a weird way it took away from the pain. So I was like,
I don't know which pain is
weird. It sort of distracted from the pain. So coming back to why I said sellotape, this wasn't the first time I broke my hand. 2 years later, I again broke my hand. I was put into a plaster cast. So what happened, we went to church and I had a bunch of friends at Vacation Bible School, VBS. So what we were doing, I was with my cast all like this and I was going. So this one guy decided, Macha, adu pull panna vandruma. You think it'll come off? I was like, I haven't tried that, so why don't we do it? So one guy is holding my hand here, one guy is holding the plaster cast here, and they pull it, and it's cut, it's tied like this, so it's at an angle. It's hilarious thinking about it now.
But it was very
Yeah, I was probably like, I was trying too hard to make friends. So like, someone was like, pull your hand and like, what, lose an arm over for friends and stuff. Literally lose an arm. So everything's ready. The guy, Satish, was holding the plaster, and Ravi or someone else was holding my hand back so that I don't pull it back in thing. He pulled it broke here, the plaster broke here, and this part came front. The plaster, not my hand. Don't grimace. So then I was like, okay, now how will I put it back? Like, you like slip it on like a glove, which wasn't going back, it wasn't going back. So what we did, we had this brilliant idea, masking tape. Masking tape looks like plaster. So we wrapped my entire hand, and then I put on that sling thing so that my dad doesn't see it. My mom wasn't here, my mom was in the US that time. So she has no idea. They still don't know. So
The story.
yeah, she still doesn't know.
Quite the story.
So I don't know why sellotape sort of sparked that.
Masking tape.
So yeah, masking tape. I think I went 3 weeks and then I had to go to the doctor to get it off. So nothing else. Just put a great bandage and send me out. It's a secret. Let's have that doctor-patient confidentiality. So let's maintain that. So I said that. And this is a story that my mom doesn't know till date, and this is the first time I'm telling it to her.
Don't run behind dogs, Santosh.
So the moral of the story is don't run behind dogs, even 3-legged ones.
Alright, lovely. Thank you so much, everybody. Can we give it up for all our storytellers? Thank you. Everybody watch your heads. And I'm sure, like I was saying earlier, that you have your stories and everything in which we were just background actors. We'd love to hear it. So please do drop by, buy your book, get it autographed by the poet, and tell her what Sonder is to you.